Welcome to another episode of the Wandering Watercolor. Today we're painting the second page of the Ocean Life watercolor coloring book. Let's get started. Okay, so this is the second page of the Ocean Life watercoloring book. It's just a swordfish swimming with some other fish. And as always, you want to make sure you have your brush, a rag or paper towel, something to dry it off with as needed, a place to mix your colors, 2 jars of water. I always recommend 2 jars, just so one of them is the primary one and the second one is just where you clean your brush. And then this is my palette. I'll put all the details in the description. I'll leave a variety of palettes and brushes, and that way you can kind of determine what's best for you. The tools can vary greatly in quality and price, and I'm kind of like starting to back away from recommending any one specific thing and just letting people choose what works best for them. I think that's probably the best. So let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is we'll get some blue, and whatever blue you're using out of whatever palette you're using will work just fine. And we're doing everything in layers, and always remember that with watercolor, once it's dry, it's lighter. Everything dries lighter. Okay, so the first thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll do a line kind of like towards the top of the fish here, like that. Kind of going over the top to the head, and then just filling in the whole kind of like sword part of the swordfish. And I'm gonna rinse my brush completely, dry it off a little bit, and then just pick up some of that edge so that it fades out. Just like fading out the edge. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the bottom. I'm gonna pick up some of the color, go along the bottom, kind of do like a small outline in the bottom, going all the way up here, and then rinse off my brush, dry it off a little bit, and fade in that edge. Same thing. Perfect. And I might even actually work a little bit more on this edge like this. Just rub in with a moist brush. It'll make it kind of dissolve the edge a little more. And maybe pick up some of that with your paper towel. Next, we want to get a little bit of orange. If you don't have orange, just mix some yellow and red. But then also make it more on the yellow side. And then a little bit of water, and then we're just going to concentrate most of it right here. Just more of a concentration of the color just right there. And then I'm going to rinse off my brush completely, dry it off a little bit, and while it's still moist, I'm just going to kind of pull out that color a little bit, going back and going forward, and then same thing, rinse off my brush and kind of fade out the edges. Try my brush, fade out the edges, fade them out, and you kind of get that nice two-tone gradation of how the colors kind of fade in and out. If you've ever seen a swordfish, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm gonna add more of the color down here, like that. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to get more water and then just dilute the blue that we have over here. And I'm going to color the big fin here on the back and color it in like this. And same thing, rinse off my brush, dry it off, and then pick up the edge to kind of fade it out towards the top. And dry it off. And you can see how this is very, very subtle. But as we build up more of the colors on top of it, you can see how it'll add more dimension, make it look more realistic. And then same thing, we're just going to grab the lighter blue here and then just color in the fins, color in this one, color in that one. And then the ones that are underneath here, they're a little darker, so we'll go ahead and we'll use more of the pigment and just color them in. Just like that. Okay, and then we'll do the same for the tail. I'm gonna dry it off. That's perfect. Now what we'll do is we'll get more of the blue color, and now we're going to use more pigment and less water, because that will help with creating that contrast, that visual contrast and the intensity. And so the first thing, we'll go back in and just more towards the edge, and just slowly outline it like that. And same thing with going all the way up to the tip of the nose. And go slowly, no need to worry, or no need to rush. And then the same thing for back here, the back fin, we're going to outline one side of it, the left side of it. We're just going to outline it slowly, like that. And do the bottom part, like that. And then go in and outline the bottom. Okay, then I'm gonna go in and do a couple of lines here, like that. And then also the bottom fin here. Okay, and go ahead and we'll do the same for the fin underneath here. I'm gonna color most of them like that, and then just kind of pull it off to the side like that. Same thing, most of it will be colored in. Okay, and using this more rich, more intense color mixture, we'll go ahead and we'll outline some of these lines. We'll go ahead and just go in slowly, just kind of give them a little bit of an outline. It does not have to be perfect, and you're trying to make them a little wider towards the bottom, like just kind of like barely touching the top, and as you go down lower, you're pressing down more. So it would look something like that, like this, like it's thinner at the top, and then as you go down, you just press down so that it creates a thicker stroke. And that's what we're doing here. Like that, like that. And then just go slowly. No need to rush. That, like that. Okay. And grab some more of the color. And again, we're going to outline the fin that's underneath just a little more, but this time we're going to stop right about there. Right around there. Perfect. And then same with the fin back here. We're just going to touch up the edge a little bit. And the same for the one back here. And also, again, with the bottom, the belly of the fish, we're just going to outline a little bit, and then more for the fin down here. Okay, all of that looks great. And then I'm just going to rinse off my brush and then grab a little bit. We don't want a lot of pigment, we just want a little bit. And what we're going to do is, yeah, we want something like that, not too strong, just a little bit. I'm going to add just a line right there where the gills are, and another line like that. And also just a couple of lines right here just to show that there's some texture in the fins. And all of that looks pretty good. Now we're going to rinse our brush. And we'll go ahead and we'll switch to coloring in the background. Now the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use a blue-green color. So basically, if you have, just mix some blue and green together, or if you already have it pre-mixed on your palette, just use whatever turquoise or blue-green color that you have. And then make sure that it's mixed in with a lot of water, because there's a large surface area to cover, so we need a good amount of water. I'm just going to test it out. I want to make sure it's not too dark. So that's probably a little too dark. I'm going to use more water. Okay, so that looks good. And then slowly and carefully, I'm just going to cover the area around the focus point. And then as we go more towards out the edges, to where the edges are, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down more on the paper and then drag the... So you see how when you drag it across the paper, you pick up the texture, and so it looks much more appealing as opposed to just a flat color. So here we go, and just take your time, no need to rush. Just gonna fill that in slowly, and as you get further away, closer to the edge, just kind of fading it out with that rough texture of the paper. Like that. I'm getting some more going in slowly. And same thing, just kind of fading it out. It doesn't have to be perfect, since the surroundings of the fish are not really the center point. It's not as important that they look perfect. And just kind of pull out the color like that. And then just go like that. Slowly pull it all out. And then you're always welcome to weigh your brush a little bit to make the color stretch a little more. Just do a little bit like that. Same underneath here. And don't feel like you have to rush on any of this. Just take your time. Like that. What can happen is sometimes if you use like too much water or too much pigment, depending also on how dry the paint is, you'll get some separation like this right here, and you can easily just kind of like paint over it, just kind of rub it in with your brush when it's wet. Maybe dry off the brush a little bit, pick up some of that color, move it around. It's totally fine. Okay, so, oh, we almost forgot the little bit in here where the fish has its mouth open. We'll go like that. There we go. And then the next thing is, well, we'll give this a chance to dry, and then we'll go back to this right here. So next, what we want to do is the blue that we have right here, we want to add just a little bit of brown in it, and that'll give it more of a gray tone. It'll push the blue more towards the gray. Just a little bit, not a lot. And what we can use that for is to create a little bit of shadow. So for example, this large fin on the back here, it's waved a little bit, so when we add some of this, it'll give more form to it. So for example, we'll go ahead and we'll just slowly go like this on the bottom, just one stroke, and just give it a little wave, and you see it'll give it kind of like it's moving. And we can do the same for the fins down here. Like for example, this middle one, we can go ahead and give it a little bit of that. Definitely the underneath of this one, because it's not catching as much of the light coming from the top. And also a little bit in the streaks of this one, just to show that texture, like that. Okay, that looks perfect. We'll rinse our brush. And then this little area, we can actually add more brown to it. And the reason being is we actually want to get to a kind of a gray color. That's going to be, this is the color that we're going to use for the fishes that are surrounding the main object. I'm gonna add a little more blue though. A little blue, a little brown, and you kind of get this kind of like gray blue color. And we want to make sure that it's well diluted because we don't want it to stand out too much. We just want to give the indication that there are things in the background environment. And probably more water. We want more water than that. And if the mixture that you make, it looks a little more green, a little more brown, a little more gray, all of that is perfectly fine as long as it's diluted down enough to where it doesn't take away from the focal point, as long as it's not distracting. So what we'll do is, so you see some of the outline of the fish, we'll go ahead and we'll just fill it in nice and slow. I'm going to dry my brush a little bit so I can pick up some of that extra color on there. And then go in for the rest of them too. And you're not going for detail, you're just going for shape. You just want to kind of give the viewer the idea that there is something back there. It doesn't have to be super detailed. It's just to show that there's a little bit of something. And then with the bigger ones that are more towards the foreground, I'm just gonna outline more towards like where the belly is and a little bit of where the gill is. This gives it it's not distracting, but it gives it a little bit of detail to show the variation between the distance of the different background objects. Just like that. Like that. There we go. Like that. And you don't even have to color in all of them. Like these ones over here, I'm just gonna leave empty. Maybe the one back here, I'll color that in. This one. That one. And that's pretty good. I'm just gonna step back for a moment. And yeah, I would say that looks perfect. If you have questions, obviously leave a comment or send me a message. I'll answer it usually within 24 hours. And then in the description, I'll leave all the details for everything that I use and give options for different tools at different price points, so you can kind of pick what you'd like. And that's pretty much it. I'll see you on the next one.